Nice little single there by Taylor. Big finish. That's 3. There it is.
And Taylor holds it off. The national champ. The best year ever for Nebraska gets even better.
To deliver the first pitch. Breaking ball that's looped in left field. Gabe flies it in.
Lets it go to the sideline. Big 6. Tommy Hill. The short run to the house.
Look at that.
Handoff. Touchdown. His 3rd.
Cornhusker Connection live on a Monday night, live on Twitter, YouTube the next day. Full week of college football coming back to us. If you are listening to my voice, please, for the love of God, just like the video. It costs you nothing, and it will give us everything that we've ever dreamed of. So it's that easy. Even if you don't like what we say, tell us about it. YouTube doesn't know if you're being a bully, and I can handle it. But we're here with Tyler Sprinkel as always. Tyler, if people were to bully you in the comments, what would you hope that they'd say?
Creighton sucks. Yellow's not your color. And all you do is root for winners.
Who says no? I like it.
Who says no?
I like it. Big week. College football. Nebraska coming off of a bye. So no, it was a very stress-free weekend. Stress-free Saturday, I should say, for the Shanahan household. I know you got some work done. How was your Saturday?
It was busy, man. Housework is always challenging. Because I always get into this situation where I really want things to look good, but I refuse to spend money on the things that help me make these projects look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I just get pissed off, and I'm like, why did I not just buy this or buy that? You know? But it looks good. You know, I can't complain. The wife's happy. That makes me happy.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yes. That's the circle of life as a man.
I know how that goes. No real movement in the Shanahan household, but it was a peaceful Saturday. Actually, I was working volleyball games all day Saturday. Forgot about that. So I had the iPad out and about. Watched Iowa blow a lead against USC. That was cool. Watched Alabama, Oklahoma in the sideline. So it was a relatively good weekend. Can't complain. Sunday was obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun games that I missed out on, it seems. I feel like that always happens. You're like, oh, this shouldn't be a super good weekend.
Yeah,
and then bam.
It felt like the cherry picking weekend. Well, and to be fair, there was a lot of games that I thought were going to be better that weren't. Georgia ended up blowing out Texas.
Well, we all knew that was going to happen.
And Florida looked like it was going to be a good game for a while. You know what was a banger? Texas A&M and South Carolina for some reason.
The first half was sick. That's a tale of two halves story right there.
No kidding.
I mean, just 30 points in the first half, 0 points in the second half. That's tough to down. But at least they gave it a shot. And
they gave it their best.
Former friend Nate Borgacher had at least one touchdown I saw.
Glad to see he's doing well. Not a whole lot of Husker transfers that I'm not salty about, but he's and maybe that's just because I'm so salty about some of the other ones that I only have so much hate to go around. And so he doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't think Matt Rule's talking about him when he's like, I bet some of these guys wish they never would have left. So good for him.
Who do you think he was talking about?
I mean,
Well, there's a few.
I mean, the whole Florida State fiasco, they're all probably kicking themselves a little bit. Bayer probably. How's what's his name? He went to Ole Miss.
Princewell?
Princeville? Yeah, how's he doing this year?
It's a good question. I mean, I haven't heard much from him, but he could also be having a great season that I wouldn't know about. I don't even know how to start to spell his last name, so I'm counting on you there.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Checking in on Jamari Butler at LSU, left to compete for a
Oh,
national
yeah.
championship in the SEC conference. He's got 14 tackles on the year.
Hey, it's not bad for the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
wait.
a
Season's
bad start once
almost
they get
over.
into conference play down the stretch. He'll be getting into shape there. 2 weeks left in the season. If Dante Dowdell gets 4.5 touchdowns in these final 2 games, he'll match what he had last year at Nebraska. So he's on par. He only needs to average 260 yards a game to break 1,000.
Well, that was good for us. That move was good. So I
Um,
can't be mad
yeah,
at
it's
Dowdle.
worked out pretty well in hindsight. With Emmett Johnson and we'll start with Emmett Johnson here, who's kind of starting to get some buzz throughout, and we talked about this a little bit last week after his great performance against UCLA, 100 receiving yards, 100 rushing yards, and was kind of a weird and wonky Heisman class in general. Wouldn't be surprising to see a running back like Emma Johnson sneak in there. Um, and you bring up Dante Dowdell, and that's such a funny point because the worry coming into this year, when you lose Dante Dowdell, you miss out on the Chase Brown or Jamar Brown sweepstakes, is, well, what happens? I mean, you can't run Emmett Johnson 25 times a game and expect him to last. But that's exactly what's happened. And he's getting better. He looks, for a guy who played 5 straight weeks, getting 30 touches a game, he looks like he's getting fresher. Like he loves his shit.
I think it's a big thing. Is him not really being used until this season. So he has like very fresh legs. Now, if he was doing
It
this
looks like
once
that
he
at least.
got to Nebraska, and this is his senior year, you would probably expect him to maybe slow down a little bit, but I don't see an end in sight.
No. I mean, at this point, it's like, keep it, especially now with TJ at quarterback. It's like, you gotta run until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, and I saw Amir Abdullah talking about him. He says he's pro ready right now, which is
I believe
exciting
it.
to hear. Like, I'm bummed, right? Because we're more than likely going to lose him, but so awesome. I'm so happy
I
for
know
him.
it. Like how, and especially somebody who came in as a 3-star recruit, wanted to go to Minnesota. Minnesota didn't want him, and he kind of. It took him a little while to see the field. Even last year with Dante Dowdell, he was the primary back, especially down in the goal line, and he just kept working, kept developing, and now he finally gets his shot. 4 years in, and he's finally he's popping off in the way that he is. I mean, it's so rare to see that kind of loyalty and development, because he could have absolutely been like, all right, fuck this, I'm going to go play at, Illinois State and be the starting back there, and maybe I'll find a landing spot down the road. And especially when he came to Nebraska, it's not an easy thing to stick with.
Yeah, and he did. That just shows you like the mental toughness that he has and the belief that he has in himself. Um, just one of those situations where it really worked out. I love it.
Looking ahead towards Penn State's setting up to be, I think, it's just a very weird game. Nebraska's the line came out, it was 10.5, dropped back down to 8.5, and it's been kind of belly flopping between here and there since. What was, when I say Nebraska's going to Happy Valley and to take on Penn State and they're double-digit dogs, what does that make you think?
Um, I mean, it's kind of what I was expecting going into the season, right?
It's funny how we've come full circle because I would say the
Yeah.
same thing. This is about right where I expected in September. Maybe not so much at this stage in the game, but I mean, it's still the same players.
Yeah. And Brooke has been trying to not really convince me, but he just keeps saying, I'm really not worried about this game. I just don't know how you can't. Their biggest strength is our biggest weakness. So, like, how could you not be worried about this? But they're kind of one dimensional now, so maybe that helps you stop the run. But we haven't done it all year, so I don't really expect it to come during the Penn State week that we finally figure out how to stop the run.
Yeah, it it feels like as tall of a task as we'll get. I will be tall task just with how much they run the quarterback, but I mean, this is where you let it all rip. We talked about the defense last week, and at some point, you just got to trust your secondary, stack the box, and say you got to get a hat on a hat, make it a numbers game. This feels like the opportunity to really turn that up because you're not going to get a mobile quarterback, and even against Iowa, you're going to get a very different type of mobile quarterback than what they saw in Maeva and Underwood and Nico. But this feels like the time to see what you got and what happens when you do load the box, when you do commit fully to stopping the run in a way that you probably haven't been able to. Because, I mean, if you look at the rosters, it does feel crazy that a Brooke isn't worried about this game. Because it is still, like, if you look at who's going to be playing on Sundays next year, Penn State's going to have more of those guys. And they're at
Yeah.
home, night game, weird travel spots for Nebraska to not easy to get to Happy Valley. And it's just, I mean, I guess you're coming off a bye, so that helps. Let me ask you this. Do you feel better or worse that Penn State beat Michigan State last week?
Better, I suppose, because they got that Big Ten W.
I'm in the same boat. They won 28-10. Grunkmeyer had 8 completions. Katron Allen had 181 yards on the ground.
Yep, and that's what I'm worried about. That is what I'm worried about.
I'm right there with you. It's not a game to feel good about by any stretch of the imagination. I am in the same boat. I'm happy that Penn State got their first Big Ten win. And not that they're going to take their foot off the gas pedal with Nebraska, but you know that they weren't going to not win a Big Ten game. And it's like Nebraska's that opportunity.
Can we put records aside for a second? If we go in there and beat them, is this a big win for Nebraska?
Internally, yes. Externally, probably not. I don't think it's a needle mover in like the national scope or even how teams view Nebraska. Because I do think that when you're evaluating this game outside of the Nebraska scope, you look at the records and you think, okay, well, yeah, of course Nebraska went in and won. But internally, I think it'd be a huge win. Because first of all, even no matter what the line does, Nebraska's still going to be a significant underdog, which is kind of the next step of this evolution this year. Outside of Minnesota, you're winning the games that you're supposed to win. Now let's see if we can win a game that we're not supposed to. Going across the country, night game, with a true freshman quarterback who's probably going to have to make more plays than he did against UCLA. If you can come out of this game, and also if you come out of this game, it's probably because Emmett Johnson also had another monster game. And just what this game has to look like for Nebraska to win, it's a huge win, internally at least.
Yeah, it's like, are we like? It's just like one of those big names. If you can knock off one of those big names, then it's obviously great. But as the season has gone along for Penn State, it's obviously not a great win because their record isn't very good. But I mean, really, the only thing that's like majorly changed is Drew Aller is not the quarterback. And that's huge. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discredit
That is
like
very
what they've
huge.
lost. But as you mentioned, they have a ton of NFL talent on their team. So not record wise, but I think this would be a huge win for Nebraska.
I think so too. And first of all, just getting to that 8th win, that's gonna feel like ecstasy. And you go into Iowa with some momentum. Yeah, there's no way that this is a game that we poo-poo over. And it feels like it's hard to get any Big Ten wins on the road that you poo-poo over at this
Yeah.
stage where Nebraska is, let alone against Penn State.
Yeah, and then you keep your hopes alive for a 10-win season still. Because you go in, beat Iowa, hopefully. Then you go win your bowl game. That's a 10-win season. That's huge.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm
Especially at times this season, it's like, holy shit, we stink. And then to turn around and look back and like, oh, wow, we won 10 games this season.
yeah, this is where it starts, especially with TJ Lateef at quarterback. I'm curious to see what this offense will look like because Penn State up front seven is going to be as good as we've seen so far. TJ's going to have to make more plays than he did against UCLA. I'm going to be real honest. I haven't spent much time worrying about TJ Lateef, even though he's going to have to be a big part of this game. I haven't seen anything from him that would make me worry at all.
Yeah, I haven't really either. And just thinking like he has 2 weeks to prepare for this game, that's huge, right? Because we saw this stark difference between coming into the game unexpectedly and seeing him look terrified to him having a week of preparation and looking really, really good against UCLA.
After seeing him against UCLA, do you think that if Dylan doesn't get hurt, we beat USC?
Yes. I think so. Because that's why you brought Dylan here, for games just like that. So, yeah, I think we win that game.
I think so too, and I'm more sure of that now than that Sunday. Just because, especially seeing how UCLA or USC struggled against Iowa, and we'll talk about that game here shortly. It's just like that. That feels like such a winnable game. And I don't want to poo-poo on TJ and his performance, but that's a crazy spot to come into.
Yeah.
And as good as I think he handled himself, it's still we've seen Dylan win those kind of games before.
Well, and also, we sit here and say, oh, TJ wasn't ready to go into that game. Well, I also don't think our team was ready for him to go in that game. Like, That's a completely different call sheet with TJ and with Dylan. So I don't think that they were ready for him to go in the game. So they're like, what the hell do we call? And it looked sloppy.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. But overall, I'm feeling I don't feel as nervous about this game as I thought I would. I thought this would be the game where stew over it on Monday. And I guess as we get closer to game day, maybe that'll change. But I kind of feel like we're playing with house money at this point. Touchdown plus dogs on the road. True freshman quarterback. I'm just excited to see what this team looks like when we're playing with house money. I'm curious to see if the team comes out like that.
Yeah, I'm expecting big things. You're not fighting for a playoff spot, like you're just going out there to win games, and there should be little to no pressure on these guys. So just let it fly. Let's run around and have fun. Why not?
And looking out throughout the rest of college football, very, very interesting week. We were talking about it a little bit before we hopped on air. But hold on one second. Never mind. I'll look at that later. Kind of came in. You had some games that you had in mind that were going to be good games, and those ended up being the stinkers. And then you had some games that you weren't going to pay much attention to that ended up being outstanding games, starting with Texas Tech and South Carolina. I mean, blowing a 27-point lead in the way that they did. First of all, Texas A&M looks so bad. And I learned today through Brandon Walker, they have 7 wins in the SEC, and they're the seven worst teams in the SEC. You could not cherry pick a softer SEC schedule for Texas A&M to this point. Not to say that I think that they're very fraudulent or not a true contender, but I mean that's not nothing. And then they flip the switch at halftime, come all the way back. That was also cool to see. It was cool to see both ends of that spectrum.
What was their non-con this year?
They beat Notre Dame, which was the big one, and then I think a couple of stinkers throughout.
UTSA, Utah State, Notre Dame. And then they play Samford this week.
I guess we'll see more come Thanksgiving week when they play Texas. I think those two teams kind of feel very similar, just in opposite ends of the spectrum. Like Texas has gotten the bad draws and come up with some ugly losses, and the Texas A&M got the good draws, and they've come out on top. I'll be fascinated to see that matchup. Notre Dame picked up another win over the weekend against Pittsburgh, which it would have been very – I'm very pro-Irish, but it would have been very funny for them to come out and lose a game after Pat Narduzzi said to the media, we actually don't really give a fuck about this game. This game doesn't matter to us. We could lose 100-0, and it doesn't matter. Ended up not happening. Also would have been funny if Notre Dame actually did hang 100 on them, but they become interesting, especially in a group with Texas A&M potentially and Miami, because both of those teams have the head-to-head match. But I think the CFP rankings, and we'll see what they have to say tomorrow, but they still have Notre Dame ahead of Miami, which could cause some conflict down the stretch. Because it seems like they're giving more points to Notre Dame for having that good loss than Miami for actually winning that game.
I don't get it. I don't understand why you come out and say that to the media, first of all. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, hey, guys in the locker room, like, I have no confidence in you. So let's just, like, wash this game down the drain before we even play it and focus on next week. I don't get it. I mean, in my mind, that's a fireable offense. Could you imagine if Matt Rule said that?
Oh, my God.
Like, we go out there and play Michigan, and he's like, it doesn't matter. This game does not matter. Like, if we lose by 100, it doesn't matter. It absolutely does. It matters.
Yeah.
A lot.
All these games should matter. At least a little bit. And even if it doesn't, like, even if internally you're like, all right, we're big underdogs. We got our eyes on the ACC chip. Let's, do what we got to do. But then to come out and say that is insane behavior.
What a freak.
Like,
What a freak.
I think we talked about this with the Scott Frost Cup. You don't have to say that.
No.
Just be like, oh, yeah, every game matters. This is a big one, big opportunity for our guys to go out and compete. It's a good team. That's it.
Yeah, we know we're going to lose, so we're just already prepping for next week.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. What a weird thing to say. I don't get that.
I would have almost rather him like double down and be like, we're all going to die. What does any of this matter? Like that would have been way more.
Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, that would have been way more acceptable in my mind. Yeah, now I'm just running through the Twitter storm of if Matt Rule had come out and said that. Like, what a take. Looking throughout college football, Oklahoma, Alabama turned into a fun game. Oklahoma still shaky on offense, but the defense, that's a mean defense. Took down Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Second loss for Alabama. Feels like Kalen DeBoer's seat's getting warm again. Not like he cooled it off for the last 2 months, but what a weird game that was. Oklahoma.
Yeah, is Oklahoma Kalen DeBoer's kryptonite?
He might be. He's like, hey guys, we're always going to beat Georgia. We're always going to lose to Oklahoma. That's just how it is.
It's so weird still to me seeing Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC.
Big 12 runs the SEC. It just means more. I don't know what to tell you.
Not Texas though.
I mean, they were in the SEC title game last year. Maybe just
Yeah.
Arch Manning. Yeah, that would have really helped the pro Big 12 runs the SEC agenda. And again, that was one of the games I talked about. Like, oh, hey, this might be a good one. People were giving a lot of cheese to the Texas upset bid, and then they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter to Georgia, who seems to be humming. Now they're 9-1, 35-10 win over Texas at home. And that fourth quarter, they looked like the Georgia that was racking off national championships.
Yeah, and the game didn't really feel close at all. Like throughout the whole game. So props to Georgia and the Dogs. They're rolling at the perfect time. They probably have Iowa School of the Blind next week. Really getting them right for Georgia Tech, right? That's their last game of the season.
Oh, that's right. They do play Georgia Tech. Well, that'll be an interesting game to watch. I wonder if Brent Key for Georgia Tech comes out and be like, we could lose by 200. It doesn't fucking matter. None of this matters. What are we even here for?
Yeah, every coach should just start saying that.
Might as well.
Because then when they lose by 100, you're like, well, I told you.
So what?
It doesn't matter.
We're 7-1 in the ACC. That's what matters for some reason. And the SEC is hard to get a read because I think they're going to get 4 to 5 teams into the playoff. But I don't feel like there's more than one, maybe 2 teams that could actually go through and win 3 games to win a national championship. Because all the teams up top, outside of Georgia's looking like a tank. But Texas A&M, we saw how bad they can be last week. Alabama's not very inspiring. Oklahoma's offense doesn't seem good enough to go on that kind of run. Texas is out of the picture. Ole Miss, maybe they're 10-1, but they gotta struggle a little bit with Florida trailing in the second half. It's just like outside of Georgia, I don't know if there's a second true national title contender in the SEC. Am I crazy for that?
Do we think John Mateer's still hurt?
It feels like it. It feels like he's a different guy than before the injury.
Because they were humming before he got hurt on offense.
Heisman candidate, top 5 draft pick coming out. All of a sudden he gets hurt. They drop that game to Texas I think he's getting better week over week. So maybe come playoff time he gets to heal up a little bit more. But he certainly doesn't look the same.
I mean, do you think Oklahoma still has a shot at the playoff? Yeah, they're 10-1, right?
They're 8-2. They have a game against.
Oh.
Well, I guess they have Missouri and LSU. Wish those games don't feel like gimmies, but they probably should be. Missouri at home on the road to Baton Rouge.
Oh, Ole Miss, that's right. Forgot they lost to Ole Miss. I don't know. It's interesting.
Are they up there? I mean, they got to bye this week, take on Mississippi State, so they'll finish to 11-1. Are they in pole position for the SEC title game?
Dude, I don't know. This year is so weird. It feels like everybody's just eating each other alive in these divisions.
Yeah.
Or conferences. Let me see what I can find out here.
Let me see. The SEC is weird. Oh, here's what I was looking for. So, let's see how this looks. Oh, this looks okay. So they have this little handy-dandy standings tiebreaker calculator.
Oh.
So because Texas A&M is the only undefeated team left, so they're in the driver's seat. If they lose to Texas and Ole Miss beats Mississippi State, that puts Alabama and Georgia in because they have the tiebreakers over Ole Miss. And then
how would Oklahoma get in, or do they even have a shot?
That would be tough since they have 2 losses.
Yeah.
So they would need some pretty big.
But Alabama has 2 losses, and you just said that they can get in.
But one of those losses was to Ohio State. Oh, well, How does that work? Alabama 7-1 in conference.
I guess it's
Oh,
conference losses, I suppose.
oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Texas. Okay, I was thinking of Texas. Texas lost to Ohio State. They have 2 SEC losses now. Alabama got shit pumped by Florida State, and then picked up their first SEC loss last week.
Yeah.
Interesting. Again, I talked about it a little bit on Saturday. I think these games are going to be kind of watered down, the championship games, just because what's the point if you're going to get a first round bye anyways? Like, is the 3 seed over the 4 seed or the 1 seed over the 2 seed that much more favorable to where you're going to really lay it all out there if you're Texas A&M in the SEC title game?
I mean, are we still thinking that what was it, the 6th seed last year? Are we still thinking that that's going to be like the perfect spot to be at?
You see, I don't think so. You'll hear people make that argument because of how it played out last year, where Ohio State got the better draw because they played Tennessee first round. But you're not going to convince me that Oregon was sitting at home watching Ohio State have to suit up and play against Tennessee, that they wouldn't rather be at home with the bye.
Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. We need to see this a couple years, and then we'll be able to make our assumptions. But it's gonna keep changing though. So it's gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, we get to see this for 2 years, and then next year it's 35 teams in the playoff, and
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they had it so close to it being perfect last year. All you have to do is reseed after the first round, and then you fix all your problems. You would
yeah,
still wait to all the conference championship games, and then you set it up so the best teams have the better matchups. The NFL's been doing it for decades now. I don't know why that's off the table.
are
I
they
mean,
are they doing that this year? The reseeding?
I think so.
I thought they were as well.
Yeah, I think they're still doing the. You mean in the NFL?
No, no, in
No.
football.
College, they're not doing the reseeding.
Oh, I thought they were. I thought I read that.
Which feels crazy because it seems like such an easy fix to this
It's like,
problem.
oh, all these people are saying that we should do this. Well, they're idiots, so we're not going to do that.
And then they're just and then they're gonna expand it, and then conference championship games are gonna matter even less because it's like, okay, well, if I can't even get a first round bye, what does the back half of November even give a shit about? Because all I have to do is make it to the top 16. Bada bing, bada boom, we're in. I hate it. I hate where things are going. Our doomsday scenario in the ACC is pretty cooked. Duke lost over the weekend. There were 7-point favorites against Virginia. Now it's shaping up to be a race between Georgia Tech, Virginia, and SMU, each still with just 1 loss, which becomes a lot more favorable comparing against a team like James Madison. Would have been cool. Was really rooting for it. Don't even get a little bit of fun out of it.
Crazy that SMU is still in the mix. I feel like their season didn't get off to a great start, but here they are.
I mean, at least they're not playing in the Big 12. They have more Big 12 losses this year than they do ACC losses. It's very funny to think about. And it's not a sure thing for them. They have Louisville on the road this week. And I think is that it for them? 5-1. Yeah, okay. My 7 out of conference game that last week. But now they're kind of on the outside looking in with the tiebreakers with Georgia Tech and Virginia. But I guess on the bright side, at least like the Big 12 and ACC conference champion games will still matter, but that's not what the CFP cares about.
I think the only ones that won't matter are the Big Ten and SEC.
Which is such a shame because those, with real stakes, banger of games. Indiana, Ohio State, 1v2. Texas A&M or Alabama against Georgia, banger. But now I'm just not so sure.
I think I'd like to see the Texas A&M Georgia game more than the Alabama Georgia game.
I would too.
Just something that you don't really see a whole lot in big situations. So that would be a cool game to watch. But you're crazy if you don't think that Kurt Signetti would still go out there and try to drop 100 on Ohio State, even though the game doesn't really matter. So
I don't know if he would. I think he might be the biggest offender out of this. I mean, I think there's part of him that wants to go out and shit pump Ohio State. But I don't know. I guess it's different this year. But last year, he kind of felt like he shelled up in some of these bigger games, and he didn't want to get too risky. Or really, I mean, even in the playoff game, and against Ohio State last year, it just didn't feel like he had his foot on the throttle. Maybe that's different this year. Maybe, but
I think they have a way better team this year.
yeah. I concur. And it feels crazy, even in hindsight, where nobody accounted for the fact that they might get better. Like, yeah, their schedule is going to be a little bit easier, and that might be worth watching. But like they're going from year 1 to year 2 with a brand new head football coach. Why wouldn't they get any better? But who knows?
I mean, like we said, that's not really how it's supposed to work. Whatever he's doing, so
Yeah,
maybe that's why.
some movement in the coaching ranks. First of all, Mike Elko got an extension right before they almost got blown out by South Carolina. I thought that would have been very funny. But 8 games into his tenure, he gets a new deal. It feels very funny to me. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. He's done a great job. But for him to get that extension so quickly seems very silly.
Well, I think it's just what's happening, right? So you got to make sure that your guy is going to stick around. So people are just handing out extensions left and right to make sure that that's happening. You don't want him to be sniffing around Baton Rouge or whatever. Oh, speaking of that, did you see? I think somebody reported that Lane Kiffin's family was seen walking around Baton Rouge.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. You know, I
can't
now
remember
I
where
keep
I read
going back and forth on Lane Kiffin because I heard on another podcast they talked about like the coaching dynamics of being an offensive guy and a defensive guy, and the offensive guys are much more likely to bring players into their system. Like if you are a wide receiver or a quarterback, running back, it makes a lot more sense to go play for a guy like Lane Kiffin than a guy like like in Georgia. But defensively, that doesn't matter as much. Where you just want to be on the best team, play against the other best teams, and show that you're a freak, which then makes LSU make a little bit more sense than kind of what I was giving them credit for early on, in the sense like that is that exact kind of situation where, you know, if you're a defensive guy, because Lane's always going to have a good offense, but to take that to the next level, you got to have the defensive guys. Well, we'll see how it goes. I keep going back and forth.
There
If
it
he does
is.
leave, I think it'll be for LSU. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't
Keeping
see
it out.
him going to Florida. I really don't. You know, maybe this is just him kind of leveraging Ole Miss to get more money out of him.
But it's also weird because I feel like he doesn't need to go on an SEC
Yeah.
tour to do that. I feel like Ole Miss is like, we'll give you whatever you want. Please just don't leave us.
Yeah, I think they told him that they'll give him a blank check and he just has to write the numbers in. So
Yeah. I believe it. So we'll keep an eye on that. It seemed like the first domino might have fallen in the coaching cycle. James Franklin seemingly a done deal at Virginia Tech. I feel like every
Why?
week we've seen some type
Why?
of report about James
Why?
Franklin. You're asking the wrong guy. I again, a home run for Virginia Tech. We've talked about this. Huge win for Virginia Tech. He comes in. He's going to be the best coach in the ACC day one. huge win for Vatek. And maybe that's part of it, but it just feels like there's better spots for him to land.
And maybe it's let's go somewhere in a conference that's not very good that I know I can win in, and there's a whole hell of a lot less pressure on me to succeed. And then just kind of right off in the sunset.
I mean, that's got to be what it is. I mean, if I have a bad month at Virginia Tech like I did at Penn State, I'm not going to be unemployed.
Yeah. I'm not going to win for 10 years and then I have one bad week and they get rid of me.
What a crazy development. Like, if I had told you, like, at the end of the year, like, oh, James Franklin's going to get fired before November, you would have shunned me. You would have made me walk through the streets and had the whole town square shame me. What a crazy lunatic thing that would have been to say. But here we are. Who do you think has more wins next year, Virginia Tech or Penn State?
I'm not ready to say that quite yet.
All
We'll
right.
see who they get as head coach.
I mean, we'll see. My guess going into this was there's a good chance that James Franklin ends up at a better job than Penn State, and Penn State ends up with a worse head coach than James Franklin. First half doesn't seem to be true. I don't think he'd call Virginia.
Who
Tech
knows,
better.
man? Who knows?
We'll see.
Let them work.
Let them work. We'll see how it goes. Coaching carousel getting underway throughout college football. Again, feel a lot better about Nebraska's chances against Penn State without James Franklin than I do with them. But that's where we are. Looking through this week, obviously talked about Nebraska and Penn State, the big thing that we're keeping our eyes on. Some other news going on. Justice Haynes officially ruled out for the rest of the season for Michigan. And Michigan's looking in a pretty weird spot because they're in pole position for the playoff now. They still haven't matched up with Ohio State, but there's not a low chance that the Big Ten only gets three teams into the playoff this year, which is a bummer. It was like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, Michigan would have to win that game against Ohio State to get in, which I don't see that happening. Obviously, Ohio State, Indiana. I mean, does USC still have a shot?
They do. They play
I think
Oregon
so.
still. So that kind of turns into
Okay.
a de facto elimination game.
Yeah. Man. Eating each other alive, man. Damn.
Could be a topsy-turvy week for the SEC, though. Lots of big bangers coming up. We have Western Kentucky at LSU, Coastal Carolina at South Carolina, Mercer at Auburn, Eastern Illinois at Alabama, Charlotte at Georgia, Samford at Texas A&M. So, I mean, SEC could play themselves out of a couple of playoff bids with some good competitive November ball games.
I love them, dude. It's so funny. Didn't they change the rule on that?
I think starting next year they're going to a full 9-game conference schedule, but they still get a.
They're finally catching up to the rest of the NCAA, huh? Good on
Welcome
them.
to the 21st century, Southeast Conference. Other than that, for a late November weekend, it does kind of feel stinky. The Big Ten has a few more enticing matchups. USC and Oregon's probably the big one. Nebraska at Penn State was supposed to be a bigger one. Illinois at Wisconsin. Maybe not. Maybe these games stink too. Last team I wanted to talk about is Iowa. Jumped out to a 14-0 lead against USC last week. Watched that dwindle away. Didn't score a single point in the second half. Blew a game to USC. Any pointing and laughing you want to do at them?
It's sad to see your season end that way. I feel for them. But no feelings lost here, or I still hate them just as much.
Then kind of the big
Yeah.
game throughout the Big 12, USC and Oregon. Feels more like a de facto, maybe not even an elimination game for Oregon. They're at 9-1, but USC not looking like a giant. But they win this game. They go to Washington next week. They finish 10-2. That could be a potential fourth bid. I don't know. It's just a weird year where a lot of teams that you didn't think were going to be very good are much better, like Texas A&M. You have teams that you thought were going to be very good, Penn State, that are struggling to get to a bowl game now. Weird year. But anything in particular you're looking forward to about this weekend?
The Oregon USC game, that'll be really interesting. But as per usual, my eyes are locked in on Nebraska. Just win the fucking game. Just win it.
Just win one of these games. I guess I shouldn't say just win one of these games, but this would be one to circle on the calendar.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Why not us, Tyler? Any big plans for the game?
No. I mean, they just announced the times yesterday, right?
Yep,
It's so
NBC game.
stupid. It's so stupid that, well, we're not going to get home until Sunday morning. And then we have to turn around and go to, I guess we're at home.
Still a short
against
week.
Iowa.
Bright and early
Very
Friday
short
morning.
week. Yeah.
Almost makes you wish the game was in Iowa City because Iowa always gets the night game.
Yeah. No
So
kidding.
that would have been cool to have the extra rest. But, well, it's in Lincoln, so it's 11 a.m. At least you have some consistency.
stupid.
Thanks, Big Ten.
I wonder if that's Nebraska doing that. Or what? I'm curious.
I can't imagine they signed up for this voluntarily. I know it's like a CBS versus NBC thing, but it feels jippy. And they get the
Whoa.
primetime NBC game, and we get the noon. Or I don't know if it's CBS or Fox, or I don't know how it goes. Nobody decides anything other than TV networks. It's their world. We're just living in it.
That's right. Money makes the world go round, man.
And last thing to touch on, speaking of money, you're the big finance guy, private equity coming to the Big Ten. They released some projected tiers for payouts. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State's in the top tier, USC, Oregon in the second tier, Nebraska with a handful of other teams in the third tier. Does that surprise you at all? What do the dollars say? Follow the money.
Yeah.
Where's the money taking us?
I mean, I think that Nebraska would be one of the teams that could be self-sufficient when it comes to paying out revenue to players. And this is the first I'm hearing about this tier system, so I'll have to look into it a little bit more. Is it saying like?
Yeah, so essentially this private equity fund is going to be essentially buying a stake in the Big Ten enterprises to be kind of get their slice of the pie when it comes to negotiating things like TV deals and whatnot, and that comes with a big lump sum payment to each school. Tier 1 getting the highest piece of the pie, I think, like $180 million, and then trickles down to like 150, and then down to like 110, kind of based on how they value their weights in the whole revenue structure. Where typically the annual TV money just gets split out 18 ways.
Yeah.
So this is just to be like a one-time thing, but we want to make sure our big dogs eat, and then make sure everybody else gets a proportionate piece of the pie.
Yeah, that's weird.
It feels about right to me.
Yeah. I mean, you give more money to the guys that are bringing you in more money. Like, I understand that. But I find it hard to believe that, like, Nebraska isn't a little bit higher.
Yeah, there's a lot of stink on Husker Twitter just not being in that second tier. I think everybody's okay with and acknowledges that we're not bringing in the eyeballs that Ohio State, Michigan brings in, and Penn State over the last decade. But like I said, it feels about right. USC and Oregon, especially being out on the West Coast, has a unique, value to the conference. And Nebraska, the last 10 years, they haven't done much football-wise to bring a lot of eyes. With the Nebraska loyalty, you're always going to get some of that. But like when it comes to selling advertisements on TV games, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, well, we don't even need that damn money anyways. Who
Yeah, we
cares?
don't need it. We got volleyball keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all that I had. Any final thoughts before we wrap up for another week?
Go Big Red. Bo Nix owns Patrick Mahomes.
Tell everybody you know.
That's it.
I love it. Go Big Red.
Oh
Go
wait,
Broncos.
Nebraska ball
It
going
might be
crazy.
a wagon.
Holy moly!
It might be a wagon. If nothing else, it'll be fun to watch.
Yes.
So go
Very
Big
exciting.
Red. Go Big Broncos. Thank God for Bo Nix. Go not the Chiefs. Go Big Red.